Not all teenage girls have anxiety. Racing heart rate, dizziness, sense of panic, tightness in your chest, difficulty breathing, fear, racing mind, sweating, pounding heart, and pain. All symptoms I experienced on a regular basis. All symptoms that mirror symptoms of anxiety. Only my symptoms were not anxiety. My name is Maddison Tory, and I have a heart condition called SVT, supraventricular tachycardia. SVT is a common heart arrhythmia where your heart speeds up, in my case to over 185 beats per minute, when the resting heart rate for a regular teenager is between 60 and 75 beats per minute. SVT has many different causes. My mom teases that she filled my heart with too much love and that's why it is triggered. But in all seriousness, in my case, it is caused by an extra electrical pathway which triggers the arrhythmia. But my story today is not about my condition or the cardiac ablation that was completed to control my symptoms. It is about my journey to diagnosis and getting treated. There's nothing worse than having a heart condition except having a heart condition and not being believed. My symptoms to me were very real, but doctors passed them off and continue to pass them off as just anxiety. Today, I want to share my medical experience in an effort to empower other teenage girls to believe in themselves, to speak up, and to challenge medical teams until they get the answers that they need. I want girls to know that they, and only they, are the experts in their own bodies. And I want people to know that not all teenage girls have anxiety. And if a teenage girl does have anxiety, not everything surrounding her life is a cause because of the anxiety. For me, it all started when I was 5 years old. I was easily diagnosed at first, and it was just monitored. But then it became more frequent, and I was put on heart pills to regulate it. But the real problem started when I turned 11. My symptoms got worse and worse and more frequent. And by the time I was 13, I was experiencing 2 to 3 episodes a day. I was missing school, I wasn't sleeping, and I ended up in the hospital room regularly. But this time, I was a teenage girl, and everything changed. Everything I described, they minimized to just anxiety. I reported pain, difficulty breathing, dizziness. They asked about friends, stresses, boyfriends, and dance competitions. I talked about racing heart rate, sweating, and blackouts. They asked about family issues, peer pressure, and school grades. My symptoms of SVT had not changed since I was 5 years old, but now I was a 13-year-old girl. It must be anxiety. SVT is hard to catch on tests. I wore numerous heart monitors, got ECGs, echocardiograms, and had frequent blood pressure testings. But all of these tests showed very little evidence of a physical cause to my symptoms. But yet, I knew something was wrong. My chart, and other charts of teenage girls like me, instead of reading true medical terms, read labels of anxious teen, hysterical female, hormonal, catastrophizes symptoms, frequent panic attacks, maladjustment, anxiety, hypochondriac, overreacting, and stress-induced symptoms. It was infuriating and embarrassing. I felt ashamed, and I started to doubt myself. Maybe I was just imagining these symptoms. At some points, I would rather lie in my bed by myself with these terrible symptoms than go to the doctors and not be believed. Maybe I want to believe them. Easier to go and see a psychologist and talk it out than go through heart surgery and have my heart muscles burned. I just want to clarify, though, that I believe anxiety is a true medical condition that needs proper treatment and self-care. But these were not my issues at the time. But again, on a side note, if you are having true anxiety, you still need to stand up for yourself and get the help that you need. There's nothing more frustrating than being told to go home, relax, and breathe. So here I was, for the 100th time, again in emergency, being told that they were unable to find anything concrete and that it was just anxiety. And to just go home and meditate. Why was no one reading my chart? Why had no one seen that I had had SVT since I was 5 years old? Why, when they looked at me, could they not see past the teenage appearance? And why, because I was a teenage girl, did it have to be anxiety? The problem is that once a doctor places a label into your chart, it feels like you're discredited from the moment that you walk into the hospital. In the end, though, I was seen by amazing cardiologists, rhythmic specialists, nurses, and anesthesiologists, and I was scheduled for cardiac ablation, where they would insert catheters through my legs and follow my veins up to my heart. From there, they would be able to shock my heart into SVT and see where the dysfunctional pattern was starting. Then they would find that spot and burn it off so that the symptoms wouldn't come back. But even as I lied in the cath lab, waiting to be put to sleep, the doctor said that she was unsure of what she would find and if it would truly be SVT. I was terrified. Talk about true anxiety and panic attacks. But in the end, I decided to go through with it and believe in myself. And 5 hours later, after a very complicated surgery, I was out. And the first thing I asked was I right? Was it truly SVT? And it was. I have not had a symptom since my cardiac ablation on January 18th, 2018. And the moral of my story is that not all teenage girls have anxiety. So what can we do as a group to make sure that we are heard and understood? What can we do, no matter if we have anxiety or not, so that anxiety doesn't define us? We need to know our bodies. Trust yourself. You are the expert on you. You need to ask questions, lots and lots of questions, and get second, third, and fourth opinions if you need. You need to research, find your own answers, and advocate for yourself. Push for more tests, push for better treatment, and push for alternative reasons to these symptoms. And lastly, enlist the help of adults that will support you. In my experience, there are many doctors that want to help. You just have to let them see you. My lesson is to be bold enough to use your own voice, brave enough to listen to your heart, and strong enough to live the life you've always imagined. In conclusion, girls, know your bodies, listen to your gut, make your voice heard, ask questions, and get answers. Parents, important adults, and medical teams, look at us, listen to us, take the time to understand us. Don't jump to label us, because not all teenage girls have anxiety.